Hey YouTube cosplayers! Okay, so this is going to be a video about my Shadow Weaver mask, and I made it out of foam, and I'm going to show you guys how to make it. So this is my first mask, and it turned out great. I enjoyed this one a lot. I wore it to MomoCon, and it wasn't cracked at the time. That was first season. We were all very excited and fresh She-Ra fans. But then for second season, spoiler alert ahead, her mask did get cracked, and so I decided I wanted to put a crack in it, and I competed in a cosplay contest with the cracked mask and actually won third place for that, so I was really excited about that. So yeah, let's talk about what we'll need. And here coming up ahead, you'll see that this is going to be some 5mm foam. You can get any color. I always get black because, you know, I'm dark and stuff. But I already have the outline on there just so you can see, but you will need a pattern, and I already drew my pattern out, and this is for sale on my Etsy shop. So if you're interested, it's not much, but it was a lot of work to do, so I'd like to sell it. And of course, if you're a patron of mine, then it's for free. You'll need a ruler, and you'll need a sharpener and a cutter or a utility knife. You'll need a Sharpie and some paint brushes, and of course along with that comes paint, but this is the part 1 video, so we won't really need the paint brushes and paint for this video. But I absolutely love these colors, and you'll see them as soon as my camera decides to focus. That I love the metallic and the matte folk art colors from Plaid. They're my favorite. Okay, so you will also need some bling, baby, and I have jewelry making stuff and just happen to have some of this shiny jewel stuff here. So what I did, instead of leaving it clear, because you know the jewel on Shadow Weaver's mask is red, I painted it red using that iridescent red Plaid paint, and it was gorgeous and all kinds of beautiful. So I'll show you how to do that in the second video. Okay. So as we sweep that off the scene, you'll see here that you also need a reference pic. Reference pics are really important for cosplay. They're like our Bible. So just make sure you always have reference pics. For the eyes, you'll need that tool that just flashed off the screen. And then of course you'll need a cutting board so you don't cut through your table and your papers, and make sure it's straight, because apparently that was really important to me. I don't know what's going on. All right, so we're gonna trace the pattern onto the foam. I always use a Sharpie to trace, especially if I'm gonna paint the foam. You can't see it, it'll be fine, but it's just easier to see the Sharpie. Use your words, Fern. I am the worst tracer ever, so I'm trying really hard here to just kind of get it straight. I'm also the worst cutter ever with scissors. I always sharpen my blade before cutting because it helps to get this really pretty clean cut that you'll see going on right here. This is actually very relaxing for me. I don't know why, so I decided to just show it to you, but we'll speed it up so you don't have to see me cut the entire thing in slow motion because really, let's just not. Again, if you have to stop and sharpen like while you're cutting something, if it's a big job, then don't be afraid to do that, because the sharper your blade, the cleaner the cut. I've had raggedy cuts, and I mean like raggedy, like jagged, and it just doesn't look good. It doesn't look clean. It doesn't look professional. So you want to make sure that your blade is very, very sharp. Okay, so this is the basic shape of the mask here, and we are well on our way. As you can see, we've got different parts, and this is why you needed the ruler. I do have a handy guide though, that will also be available, that comes with the pattern, that has all of this drawn out, so that you don't have to worry about drawing it from scratch. So everything is just drawn out on a piece of paper for you on the pattern, and yeah, it makes it easier. There you go, that's it. So this is some chalk. Why do we need chalk? Because I didn't tell you that you needed chalk when I listed some of the things that you need. But the chalk is going to help us to get this pattern onto the foam. Another reason I use black foam, it's easier to see the chalk. And so I'm going to go over each and every line here, and I'm going to make sure that it is touched by the chalk and well enough that it will transfer. And again, this is kind of relaxing. I don't know why, but don't worry, I won't make you watch this in regular motion. We'll speed it up in just a minute. But you want to make sure that you get every single line with the chalk, and don't press down too hard, but press down hard enough so that at least you know that you've got some white going on there on the black lines. So you'll see here that I'm going to do that, and it just looks, yeah, it looks kind of funny now. It's fine. And just keep outlining and outlining, la la la. But basically, I do this with any pattern that I need to transfer onto black foam or any foam. It makes it easier, especially when you've got a symmetrical shape, to just draw the pattern out ahead of time and then trace it with chalk and then just kind of carefully transfer it. And that way you know that all the lines are the same and you don't have to erase anything or like worry about any marks on your foam. So yeah, that's how that goes. Apparently I thought you needed to watch the entire thing. Well, why on earth are we doing this? And you'll see, because we're not quite ready to paint yet, but the reason is because I want those lines to be prominent on my foam. And so you're going to see here where I'm going to flip it upside down and lay it onto the foam very slowly and very carefully. Oh my gosh. And then we're going to make sure that we smooth it into the foam. And it's really easy. It's just making sure that you get all the chalk onto the foam. And this is a technique that I kind of, I don't know, clustered my way into one time, and I thought, oh, this is cool. I'm gonna do this like all the time. Okay, so there it is. Oh my gosh, I don't know why that's just such a great thing for me to see every time I see it. But what I want to do is I want to take this really sharp tool. It's a clay whatever tool. It comes with clay. I don't know the name of it. I'll put it down below. But I'm going to cut into the foam. Why don't I use my utility knife? Well, because I'm heavy-handed, and the utility knife is meant to cut through the foam, and I don't want to cut all the way through the foam. So what I want to do is I want to trace the lines with this very, very sharp tool. Be careful when you're using it, by the way. And I want to make sure that I get a groove in there. And it's something that I don't think that you would see kind of like with the naked eye if I just, you know, cut it open and then said, okay, now I'm ready to paint over it. So we're just going to, again, do this whole kind of watch me cut the foam relaxing mode until I'm done. And then I'm going to show you exactly why I'm doing this. So you can see that it's really starting to look like Shadow Weaver. Even though the mask or the foam itself is still flat, it's still taking on that whole Shadow Weaver look, which is always very exciting. So as you're doing this, you'll just kind of get into that, oh my gosh, I can see this happening mood. That's what happens to me, where I'm just like, I'm doing it, I'm doing it, I'm doing it. And it's always just very refreshing to see that. And so we're coming to the end of our making the lines, and you can see the grooves, and it's really, really important to make sure that you get all of the lines, because you don't want to use the heat gun and then it just one of the lines is missing and you have to redo it. That's no fun. So just make sure that you've gone over all of the lines at least 2 or 3 times. So now we're going to cut out the eyes, which again is another one of my favorite parts. As long as this utility knife is really sharp, you don't have to go over the lines again, and you shouldn't have to, because mistakes are made if you have to kind of go over the lines. But I just love popping the eyes out just like that. It's just like, oh my god, I did it. Yeah, so, and there's the other one. And so now you've truly got the look of the mask. And yeah. So just to point out here again, what I was saying about the sharp tool when you're outlining it, you see that none of it went all the way through the mask. You don't want it to go all the way through the mask. You want to make sure that the lines stay on just one side. And that's important. So you see there, that was a really brief glimpse of the shape of Shadow Weaver, right? So I went ahead and used the heat gun here. Yeah, I just cheated and did it. But I'm going to show you guys here in the next clip exactly how I use the heat gun. For those of you who may have never kind of used a heat gun, I was really intimidated by it at first. But the lines, look at how neat and clean. Oh, it looks so good. Right. So I stand the heat gun up like this. This is one of the ways, and I heat the foam. I'm not really doing it here, but I'm showing you just the technique. And so that was one side, and then you heat the other side. Don't hold it too close to the actual heat gun because you don't want to burn your foam, which has happened. I've done that before. It gets this like really weird texture. Or you can just hold it, hold the heat gun and then heat the foam like this. I use one of these plastic face masks because the shape of the nose is really important on the Shadow Weaver mask, and you see how I'm pressing it in and then you get that shape. I'm going to show you the side view in just a second where you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. If you don't have a plastic mask and you don't want to go buy one, you can always use your index finger, and it also takes the exact shape. Be very careful because the foam is going to be hot, but you'll get the shape of the nose and it's going to be all kinds of wonderful. Also, you want to make sure that the foam is bent into a mask shape, so kind of round out the sides. This was an exaggerated rounding out of the sides for me. I always kind of do it too much, but you can stretch it back out so that it kind of folds and molds back into the shape. So yeah, that's it. That's like the basic. It's ready to paint now and prime. And thanks for watching. The next video will show you exactly how I paint the mask.
We're gonna win in the end. We must be strong and we must be brave. We must be brave. We gotta fight every bit of strength that we have and never let it go. We must be strong.